Hello everyone. We've reached the end of the ASORC 2022 Rehabilitation Counsellors Virtual Conference. I'm Erin Fearn-Smith from the discipline of Rehabilitation Counselling at the University of Sydney. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the Gundungurra and Darug people, the traditional custodians of the land from which I'm speaking to you today, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are joining us today. It's a real honour to be invited to close this conference, as it's not often that I have the opportunity to address a group of rehabilitation counsellors all gathered together at one time. I qualified as a rehabilitation counsellor in the late 1990s, and I've had the privilege of teaching future generations of rehabilitation counsellors through the university over the past 7 years. I'm always inspired by the range of people that the profession attracts and the great variety of applications for rehabilitation counselling skills. Rehab counsellors also form an incredibly supportive community, and one that I feel very lucky to belong to. That supportive spirit was demonstrated to me just this week when I reached out to our network on the weekend via LinkedIn, requesting support to deliver this address with stories of rehabilitation counselling. With less than a 2-day turnaround, I was provided with more than a dozen responses, enabling me to pull together something that can showcase the diversity of our profession. Thank you very much, and I look forward to connecting with you all in the future.
Hi, I'm Mansi. I'm a rehabilitation counsellor.
My name's Alexa and I'm a rehab counsellor.
My name's Carly Masiello.
My name's Alicia Gibbs.
My name's Jane.
My name's Adam.
Amelia.
Bev.
Christina.
Erin.
Stella.
Julia.
Kristen.
I'm Emma. I'm a rehabilitation counsellor.
I'm a rehabilitation counsellor.
I'm a rehabilitation counsellor.
I'm a rehabilitation counsellor.
I am the Wellness and Rehabilitation Manager at Zurich Life Insurance.
I work for Royal Rehab as a vocational consultant.
I work in the NDIS space as a positive behaviour support practitioner and specialist support coordinator.
I'm working as a senior rehab consultant in the occupational rehabilitation space.
I'm an academic at the University of Sydney.
I am working as a national rehabilitation consultant with Work Focus Australia.
I work as a rehabilitation consulting, providing care to Australian Defence members under military legislation.
I'm working on a program supporting people living with brain injury.
I'm a rehabilitation counsellor and I work for Rehab Management.
I'm the National Operations Manager for Resilia, a specialist psych rehab provider in Sydney.
I have worked at a number of occupational rehabilitation providers.
I've previously had roles in psychosocial rehab.
I've mainly worked in personal injury schemes.
I've worked with clients with brain injury.
I have worked within vocational rehab.
I've worked for multiple large Australian and global businesses.
I've worked in homelessness, mental health, supportive housing, disability,
Workers' compensation, CTP.
Lifetime care and support, workers' compensation and motor accidents insurance schemes.
Work Cover Queensland, iCare, DVA and Comcare.
I work with diverse clients.
I provide support for people that have sustained a spinal cord injury.
Assist people with physical and or psychological workplace injuries.
I teach rehabilitation counselling students.
Increase community engagement and job readiness through volunteering.
Collaborate on the development of initiatives and approaches that target injury management, injury prevention and supporting mental health in the workplace.
In the hospital, I'm part of the multidisciplinary team, and we really work together to look at integrating work into the person's rehab and what their work goals are, and also providing hope of future employment and that work is possible for the person in the future.
I deliver individual and group clinical supervision, and I support organisations with service design, leadership and policy development.
Assist with psychological and physical injuries and help them to recover and return to work in their role of defending Australia.
Helping to identify future vocational goals, helping to develop job-seeking skills.
Helping people back to work or life after work injuries and motor vehicle accidents.
Supporting people who have been injured or sick who can't go back to the work that they did before and assisting them to return to work in a new occupation.
Really looking at the person's strengths and what possibilities might be available to them.
Helping support teams to better understand a person's behaviour.
Partnering with internal stakeholders to improve workplace culture.
Working in research and tertiary education.
Connecting people with peer contact.
Writing earning capacity assessments or employability assessments.
Supporting participation in volunteer work, job trials or supported employment.
Speaking to the person's employer.
Completing psychological functional assessments and vocational assessments.
Implement some strategies that can increase a person's connection with community and their overall quality of life.
Tailor our interventions and also meet the person where they're at.
We've had some great outcomes so far, with some of our participants going on to paid employment or other independent volunteering opportunities. And we've also had a lot of our participants increasing their social and mental health through their connection with others.
We have recently developed what's called a readiness scale, which allows us to assess how ready is the person to work with us.
Right now I'm working on research to increase disability support for people accessing homelessness services who have a brain injury or a cognitive impairment.
Leading the development and design of a training program for Bunnings Australia and New Zealand for leaders on supporting mental health in the workplace, and being part of a team that developed a statewide claims approach for a vulnerable cohort of claimants within the New South Wales CTP scheme.
At the moment, I'm working on research to help establish early intervention vocational rehabilitation services for people with newly acquired spinal cord injuries.
Just last week I attended a case conference that really highlighted the value of rehab counsellors within the scheme. The client involved presented as highly anxious and the insurer was worried she'd be leaving the appointment in an ambulance. By the time we left, we were able to support her to understand her options, and her anxiety had decreased to a manageable level.
An example of a great outcome has been with a dentist. So we connected him with a peer contact with someone who had already returned to work with spinal cord injury, and we assisted him with government funding and modifications for his practice, and he has now returned to work as a dentist.
Something that really stands out to me in my role is that we are able to help people by taking the legwork out for them and helping them decipher all the medical jargon and helping them on their way back to life.
In my current role, what stands out for me is helping people to have better interactions with their environments.
A really key focus of mine is genuine care.
Just to see them increase their confidence.
And it's especially fulfilling to see people transition from injury to meaningful work and to gain that quality of life that participating in work provides.
The best part of the job is helping people recover and return to work, often in roles they didn't think they were capable of.
The best part about my role is I get to work in all the different workers' compensation schemes that exist around Australia.
It's a very rewarding profession. I've really gained a lot by choosing to change careers to rehabilitation counselling.
I'll definitely recommend this role to people who are interested.
I love the incredible diversity of job roles in the rehabilitation counselling profession.
They are terrific clients to work with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What a great outcome.